What's up guys, Matt here coming at you with a brand new one for me personally. I've never owned an MJX crawler. I've had quite a few of their little bashers and they've been really good, solid bashers, but how did they do with crawlers? So to be honest, I have no idea. I've never even seen one run, never owned one as I said, but pulling this out of the box, right away I was pretty impressed with the looks of it. So this body has a lot of nice scale touches to it with a full interior. We've got folding mirrors. The hood is on a latch system, so you can actually open the hood up and you could easily print a little engine bay or something to put in here if you wanted to. And then check this out. One of my favorite things is this is just on magnets in the front, hinge in the rear. Now I like having the hinge system in the rear because a lot of times if you put these things on just magnets on all four corners, you know, if you're crawling and it takes a hit like this, the body just kind of pops off. As you can see, this is not going anywhere. These hold really well until you just kind of pull straight up. You can pick the whole truck up, and this thing's actually got some weight to it for a 12th scale. But these front magnets hold really well. The hinge system helps that as well because it's not able to, you know, kind of rotate off of the magnets. You really have to pull straight up on them, which is their strongest point. So overall, I was thoroughly impressed with the looks of it. We got to see how it performs, right? The only thing I'm not a big fan of was the wheels and tires. I felt like the wheels just kind of looked cheap. Tires, I don't feel like they're going to do well. We're going to test them out and see. So I kind of started playing around with wheel and tire options, and look what I found. So these are the stock tires off of my RC four-wheel drive Toyota. They were actually pretty good tires. I really kind of liked these tires on that truck straight out of the box, but they fit pretty well on here. I'm actually pretty excited to run these on this thing. I've got a couple other options. I thought these looked pretty good. They look a little beefier with the tires, but I think the wheels just, in my opinion, they look a little too big. You guys let me know. What do you think? Option 1, option 2, or are you just a fan of the stock wheels and tires? So we're definitely going to run it with the stock wheels and tires so you guys know how it performs straight out of the box. First off, I want to talk about kind of what's underneath this. Now this body does feel kind of heavy. We do have some lights I see here wired in. This is supposed to have a waterproof receiver box. So I assume the ESC is waterproof. There's not much info on the box. There's really not much info on it. So I'll try to put all of that up on the screen because I don't even know what amps or anything this ESC is, but it is a brushless ESC and a brushless 3500 kV motor in here. Now we've got a 20 kg servo, which should be pretty dang good for this size truck. Looks like a steel like chassis rails. It's probably part of the weight. We do have all metal links underneath here, metal drive shafts. I think this is supposed to be metal gears and everything all throughout. So pretty interesting little truck. I'm really just curious to see how this brushless system crawls because they're kind of known for their bashers. So were they able to pull off the crawling well? We're going to find out. So before we go run this, let's talk about some of the stuff that it comes with. This is fully RTR out of the box, ready to run with battery included as well. You don't get that from very many brands anymore. So I feel like MJX is really kind of playing this for the beginner, for a kid that you're wanting to get into the hobby, or maybe you're just looking to get into yourself. 200 bucks all included, you're ready to go. So we get a 2000 mAh 2S pack that will fit into this with a Dean's connector on it. You get the transmitter, obviously ready to run with the transmitter. It is pretty small. I feel like it's kind of based around a kid's hand. I'm really crammed trying to work this throttle, so I'm gonna have to kind of hold it like this.
This does have lights as well on the transmitter. So you hit the channel 3, the lights come on. It also has turn signals. I wish there was a mode where you could have the turn signals off because every time you turn the wheel on the rocks, you're seeing these turn signals, which I'm not really a fan of. We've got flashing and then off. Same thing on the rear here. We have our sort of running lights or brake lights, it looks like. They don't go off as you're driving, but you do have a reverse light. You have signals on the rear as well, flashers, and off.
We've got a plastic wheel. We do have channel 3, channel 4. We've got the on-off switch, steering trim, throttle trim, steering dual rate, throttle dual rate. So that's basically lets you adjust the amount of steering and the amount of throttle you have, and then your trim. We've got some different shock springs. So if you don't like the way the shocks feel, you can change out the springs, play with that a little bit. Here we have a charger that's included. We have the wheel wrench that will fit your wheels and tires. So if you want to upgrade like I'm doing here, you can do that. You've got a Phillips screwdriver, 3 Allen wrenches, a couple little things to work on the truck, so that's nice. And then one thing that I really liked is we get a bumper here. So it says, I want to install it this way, right? So this actually goes on there like that. So I thought this was just the bumper and this was like an option, but this actually is just not on there out of the box. So you could run it like this, or you slip this on and then screw a couple screws into it, which are included in here, and that bolts your bumper on. So some really good looks to this, but can it crawl?
The answer to that is yes and no. It depends what type of person you are in this hobby. If you are brand new to the hobby, I think this is going to be an excellent crawler for you. Like, it's better than most brushed crawlers that we get now for much more money. We rarely ever get a brushless crawler for under $200. So if you're that new person, like you're new to crawling or new to RC period, this is definitely going to get it done for you. I do feel like it is kind of an all-around truck for somebody new to the hobby as well. I know, or even maybe you're new to crawling. You've had some bashers and that sort of thing, and you just want to try out some crawling. I think it would probably be really good for you as well. I know when I was starting in this hobby, I was into bashers for a couple years before I got into crawling at all. And I just kind of always looked and I was like, why would anybody want to go slow like that? It's got to be boring. And then I tried it and I was hooked. And I was using an old Red Cat RS10 that had just an awful slow crawl, brushed motors. But you know what? I loved it. And this definitely crawls better than that. So I think you're getting a really good all-around truck. Now, if you're somebody like I am that's deep into the crawlers now at this point, it's not really that great of a crawler for me, just because I am so used to the brushless censored FOC type systems. And if you don't know what FOC is, it's like field-oriented control. It just smooths things out so much. When you're using the throttle, you can basically, it's almost like having a cruise control. If you're just lightly pressing on the throttle, when you approach an obstacle, instead of having to give it more throttle, it will actually just continue to crawl over that, even just maintaining the speed you're at, basically. Whereas this system, you have to kind of punch it a little bit to get over some things. So it's not great for like super technical crawling, but it's definitely going to get by. Kind of the way it's going to get by as a light basher. It's not really that fast, and it's only 2S capable. So it's really not a super fast basher. As you'll see here, it's able to do some light bashing, hill climbing, and that sort of thing. And I had fun with it out here on the dirt hills. It's just really top heavy. This thing weighs like 4.5 pounds, and I feel like 3 of that's the body. Now, that's probably exaggerating a little bit, but you definitely notice that weight when trying to hill climb, as I'm doing here, or trying to crawl on those inclines or really tough lines. It just likes to topple quite a bit, and you can see there, just going uphill, it just wants to roll lots. So you're going to need to pile a lot of weight down low. It's a short wheelbase. It has the battery in the rear, which is bad, and then it has the heavy body, which is weight up high that you don't want normally. So you're going to have to offset that with some weight down low. There is brass parts available, which is usually how you add that weight down low. Brass portal covers, steering knuckles, that sort of thing. Now, you can do some heavier wheels when you go changing the wheels and tires, and that would help. So you can kind of offset that. It's quite a bit of weight. That body is quite a bit of weight on a short wheelbase truck. So I don't even know. I mean, it's going to help, but it's going to take a lot of weight down low, I think. To kind of offset the weight of this body, because this is sitting on portals, so it's a little bit higher. As I mentioned, it's a short wheelbase. And then the body is actually aluminum, or it has aluminum panels on it, which leads me into what MJX did really well on this thing. I think they did a really good job with the scale looks on this. Those aluminum panels over time are going to dent and scratch and look like a real truck. And then the detail in this body, the interior and the little minor things like the mirrors and the hood latches and all of that stuff just really adds up. So you can see the thing looks great. Out on the rocks, especially changing these wheels and tires, I think it looks really good. And it performed pretty good, actually. It probably crawled a little better than I was expecting out of a non-censored brushless combo. But for somebody like myself that's used to a little smoother throttle, being able to really do whatever you want, going from forward to reverse and light punching and all of that, it's really touchy at times, and sometimes it's like it doesn't know if it wants to be a crawler or a basher. You'll go from forward straight to reverse, and then sometimes you go from forward to brake to reverse. Usually at a little bit higher speed, it seems like it goes from that forward to brake then reverse. But sometimes when you're trying to do technical crawling, it will get into that situation, and so you're just kind of guessing. You don't know which one it's gonna do. You'll also notice in a lot of these clips, like I back up and turn and back up and go again, and there I was just playing around, punching it with the throttle, having a little fun. But you'll notice the turning radius isn't great. The dual rate was all the way up, so I'm getting max turn. And there's probably mods you can make. I mean, you can shave on knuckles and all that stuff, if you want to get into that. But straight out of the box, the steering is not great, especially for a smaller truck like this, a 12th scale model. So that was just one thing I noticed, not a deal breaker. And honestly, I think as a beginner crawler, it's actually a really good truck. You're not going to get up any real tough, like steep areas like even this right here without adding a little weight to the front. These wheels and tires weigh more than the stock. Actually got a decent little bit of weight to them, and I still couldn't get up this. Maybe we could remove the spare tire from the rear and make a few mods, maybe lower it, band the shocks, whatever. But you're going to have to make a few mods to this or add some weight down low to hit any sort of tough uphill lines. So I think moving the battery would be a big deal. If you could just get the battery out from the rear, that would help a ton. So it's just kind of one of those. It's not perfect. No RTR is. I say it all the time. But I do feel like it's a great starter truck, and I mean, I can see myself having some fun with this. The only issue for me is it's 12th scale. So when I go out, everybody's running a 10th scale. It doesn't fit. It's quite a bit smaller, and then it's not small enough to run with 18s or 24s or anything like that. 12th scale is just a really odd scale. Like, I've never seen anybody call a 12th scale here. Maybe other places it's more popular, but it just does not fit with anything around here. So you're kind of odd man out as well. So you sort of got to decide if you want to spend a little bit more and get a 10th scale, which is the more popular size crawler, or if you're just ready to get out on the rocks. And if you're just ready to get out, you want to spend less than $200, I think this is a great option. There are two versions of this. There's a brushless censored version that I would probably go for if I was looking to crawl a lot with this. It would have to be smoother. I haven't ran that, but a censored setup is usually much smoother. So I would probably recommend that. I would love to see this offered in a brushed combo where we save $40 or $50, and then that way, if you want to upgrade down the road, you could upgrade to something like a mini Fusion or something like that. So I'll link this in the description. You guys let me know what you think about it, and stay tuned. There's a little bit more running, and I talked just a little bit about the throttle and that sort of thing. So all in all, I think a pretty good starter truck, and I could recommend it if you're not too worried about the size of scale. I think it will be a good solid truck that would last you a pretty good while.
So this thing's just kind of really confusing. Like sometimes, so if I'm driving fast and I hit reverse, you'll see it kind of stops, goes into brake, then reverse. See that? So forward, braking, reverse. But if I'm like crawling slow, it kind of goes straight to reverse, which works. But it's like sometimes it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. So the big question I always get with these things is it waterproof? And I never have a great answer for that because I don't submerge my RCs. Rarely ever do I do that. But this, it does say waterproof on the servo here. These are kind of cheaply done waterproof in my opinion. Most of these stock servos that say waterproof, it's gonna last for a while in the water, but the seals and stuff in it's probably not great. So you're gonna kill things at some point. Bearings and stuff like that just don't do well in the water. That's why I don't really do that much water. I wouldn't hesitate to take this into the creek and easily get up over the tires. Wouldn't even worry about that because if you kill this servo, it's like a $20 servo. Beyond that, if you get to the ESC, you know, you could start to have problems or you may be fine. One good thing is the receiver box is very high. That's where all of your connections are. It is supposed to be waterproof. Again, who knows? You're relying on those seals in there. Take your own chances with that. But I will say I got it pretty dirty, a little bit muddy, and I just hosed it off and it still works just fine. So that is about as waterproof as I need. Now, I will say they did a really good job at routing all of the wires in here. You can see everything's zip tied up, tucked away, and runs up to your lights in the front. No worries about flipping the body off and on, and you don't have to worry about any plugs. So I really do like that about it. As far as the waterproof goes, I'm gonna say yes, it is, but do it at your own risk. So if you have any questions on this thing or wanna see maybe an upgrade or two on it, let me know. It's one of those I'm not going to spend a ton on it just because of the scale. To be 100% honest, for me, the scale just doesn't work. So I'm probably not going to use it a lot, but I was fairly impressed with what it can do out of the box. Shocks seem to do really well. It's got some really good travel. You can see that flex there. And they seem to hold up. They're not leaking and seem to do pretty well with this heavy body. It would be nice to get some weight down low, and I think this would definitely perform better. So you guys let me know what you think about it. I'll link it in the description. I want to say thanks to the channel members. Appreciate you guys jumping on that. And if you're interested in that, I will link it in the description. Lots of stuff coming up, guys. Some stuff like right here. Let's see, how close can we get? It's like right there. I can't show you, sorry. It's coming very soon. Peace. So if this is supposed to be a crawler, but it's more like a basher, somewhat crawler, does that make it like a baller?